All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. This is Tara from Tarabuster. We usually record the show live for those who are in our amazing chat room. You understand that it is the greatest chat room in American history. So I hope you come by when we do it live. But today is a special pre-recording with a special guest, Hector Quiroga. He is an incredible man, and you're going to get a lot out of this interview as I did. I was truly inspired by him. I'm not just saying that because you guys know me. I wouldn't just interview anybody and say and call them inspiring. Just give you the background. He immigrated here from Colombia with no zero English skills. He didn't know the language, and which I find incredible because I can barely speak English and I was born here. So he worked odd jobs. He put himself through law school, and although receiving rejection upon rejection, finally someone gave him a shot and they brought him into their law firm. Eventually, he got the experience. He went out on his own, and his law firm is dedicated to helping others, helping other immigrants achieve the American dream. But in his journey, he came to understand that he would never have succeeded if he did not do the painful work of confronting his childhood abuse, bankruptcy, other challenges, life challenges that we can relate to. Stay for the whole interview. I really hope you enjoy getting to know Hector as much as I did. Thank you, guys. Stay tuned. You're going to love it. Your book, Prove Them Wrong, One Immigrant's 10-Year Journey from Bankrupt to Millionaire. I'm curious, though, what are you proving them wrong about? Can you give us a background?
Yeah, the life as an immigrant is really filled with people who will tell you can't do it. So you can't speak English, or you can't speak English well
Mm,
enough to become a lawyer and persuade a jury. For an immigrant who didn't speak any English at all when I came in 2000, that was a lot of the thematic. Well, I wanted to go to college. Well, college is expensive. You can't do it. You have to get student loans. Or you're going to be in debt forever, and so you can't do that. Or it's very difficult. You don't have the intellect to do that. Then I wanted to go to law school. I was denied entrance to law school from different law schools 7 times because of the LSAT score wasn't what they wanted to be. So I got in, and then after law school or in law school, when I wanted to get out, I wanted to open a law firm. And then I was told, no, you can't. You have to. Here we go again. It's expensive. Insurance is expensive. You had to have experience. You had to work under someone. You can't do that. And so I did that. And so it's sort of like you're always told you can, you can, you
mm,
can, and using this proving them wrong to fuel your desire to get ahead. It's very much, I think, the spirit of immigrants in the country. I think
right.
really from John Smith getting down on the Susan Constant
Mm,
and saying we're gonna make this a go. We are gonna make this a go. And I think
right.
that that's what the book centers on, and a lot of different other subjects that come along to get past the ego and get past um, just to advance as immigrants and contribute to this beautiful country.
Right. And what brought you to the United States? I know you came from Colombia, right?
So I came to study English and to the University of Texas to study English, and then I was going to go back. My parents are attorneys; they're lawyers, and so I wanted to go back and I mean, likely probably go to law school there. I had just finished high school, and so I went to come here and do English, and then go back. I was probably going to be here maybe a semester, maybe a year, and in the middle of that, the Colombian situation it's pretty. It's unstable. Sometimes it goes to periods that is pretty safe and pretty good, and sometimes it goes to periods that is just not so good. And so we were going through one of those not so good periods when it was just like going back is really not. It's really not the safest and best thing for somebody of my background. So I kind of had to stay. My parents are divorced, and I had to go I found my mother. My mother had come to the U.S. She had married a United States citizen, so I was lucky enough to have some roots here. I was able to reach out to her, and they were able to help me. And then through the family process, regularize completely my documents to be in the States. So now I'm a citizen today, of course, but it took all that time, all the fear of just, hey, can I get a work
Right.
permit? Can I work here? You know. So yeah, that's kind of what sort of kept me here. And then you fall in love, right? Because it's
Mm,
the land of opportunity, right? There's
right.
opportunity, and immigrants is opportunity everywhere. I just feel like
Right.
there's so much to do and contribute that gets you up every morning going. And so that's what sort of happened. And I became an immigration lawyer because I fell in love with this very idea of helping somebody give the keys so they can come and contribute,
Right,
contribute.
right. Do you find that the obstacles are different? Because you've been practicing law for 15 years now, and
Correct.
through the different administrations, how do you
Right.
find that the different obstacles, let's say, for the immigrants
Well,
coming in?
I think an immigrant, right? The obstacle is the way, right? I think that uh, the prior administration was very good for marketing, right?
Mm,
Everybody wanted to have the documents fixed. Everybody was scared what would happen, so it made marketing, right, very easy. We were very easy to get clients because people were scared, but it made the cases very difficult. So it's like everything, right? Some things become easier, some things not. So it was easy to get clients, but a lot harder to win, a lot harder to argue. And then the new administration comes in and it just sort of swaps, right? Cases become a
right.
little bit easier. They're delayed, and we got a, an immigration system that is a complete mess and is really kind of collapsing. And then, but we have to spend more time trying to convey the message that, hey, you really gotta get that checked out. You really
Mm.
gotta check that. You really gotta get that document. It's kind of important. So that's it. And so I think, but that's kind of the story again of an immigrant. I think it's just kind of look at it, not everything as an opportunity, right? It's just an
Right.
opportunity to improve and get better. But yeah, the administrations can make a case very hard. So
And
that's
how
this.
do so are your clients seeking asylum in the United States, or how are they coming here for the most
Many,
part?
many of them. So we do the deportation defense, and so typically a defense case, you're being deported, but your defense is you plead asylum. So asylum is a defense to deportation. So we do deportation defense in large part. That's a lot of what we do. But we also do like family cases. You have a spouse, you're married to a citizen, or a lawful permanent resident. We have to get to that process, get the proper paperwork. Also, we do humanitarian cases, a lot of U visas. This is for individuals who have been victims of a violent crime, a qualifying crime. They could actually get status in the United States. To do that, there is other humanitarian cases like Backlog, for example, Violence Against Women Act. There are T visas, people who have been victims of trafficking. They've been, could be sex trafficking, could be
Right.
could be labor trafficking. So this is kind of like the areas that we handle. And so we, we have a fair amount of family cases, family-based immigration, and then there's the humanitarian and deportation defense that
Right.
we handle quite a bit.
So why do you think there are so many people coming through the border right now?
Right.
Is it because so a lot of times I'll talk about it on the show.
Mm-hmm.
My
Mm-hmm.
grandmother came here as an immigrant to
Mm-hmm.
have my father as an
Right.
American citizen. That's how my family got here. From
Right.
Ireland, though, back
Right.
in the 30s. But
Back
now we see all of the Republicans mostly
mm,
complaining about the border, the crisis at the border, the crisis at the
right.
border. Now, what do you think is really going on there? You must have experience with this.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a very complex issue, right? I think there is several factors. And I think we wish we can just fix one thing and it'll fix another. I think number one, it is a safe and a place of opportunity and a
Mm-hmm.
place where people can thrive. And look, if you can have a job and you're not worried about getting shot or losing your land or property because a communist government is coming to take it away. I think that just the fact that we enjoy that, right? That the
Yeah.
likelihood of you getting mugged or shot at in your way to work is very low. This is
Right.
not what they experience. If you get a job, right? Because if you look, if we think we have unemployment rate high, go to some of the Latin American countries and you'll see what unemployment rate can do, and all over the world, really. So there is that. There's this that is Hades, is heaven, is the place where you're safe and you can
Right.
work and you can advance. So it's very attractive. And then two, you also have a pretty bad socioeconomical situation in the country of origin. And what is causing that? So we can attribute a lot of this to the drug trade, right? There's a lot of
Right.
drug trade that is happening, a lot of gang violence, a lot of organized crime, and we go back to it. It's easy to blame that country, but it's a supply and demand issue because a lot of
Hmm.
those drugs are being purchased here, only in Europe, right? They tend to be the producers and they send it to the consumers, and so you got a supply and demand issue that ties into this, where there is a little bit of responsibility from this side about look, this all ties together. There is also issues with communists and socialists, that groups that are trying to overtake governments, dictatorships that are trying to do this, and it makes it very difficult for somebody who wants to speak against it, right? They don't have freedom of speech like we do.
Right.
We can't really talk openly against, and so they have to leave, because it's not like they're going to be jailed a day or anything like that. It's like they disappear, their family would disappear, very horrible things. And so what they see is, I gotta leave. And
Right.
and, and you
Of
you get
course.
these different flavors, right? You get the flavor of the farmer who barely has any money, and the best they can do is give whatever money they have, whatever resources they have, to their children, so they leave because they want something better for their kids. And this is why we have kids showing up
Right.
at the border. It's just like they're sent on their own. Imagine that. That's a better outcome for you to go on your own and cross several countries by foot than to stay here. I mean, they're
Right.
leaving
Yeah.
behind a horrible situation. And then you have the other flavor, right? Which is probably, depending on kind of resources that you have. You got people who can maybe acquire a visa and fly into the country and maybe stay,
Right.
right? Or maybe they can. So there's different ways that this happens. It's just that the south border gets a lot of press
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of human drama, right? You got these children coming in, you got these farmers coming in. There are people who are really suffering, and so it brings a lot of press attention. But I think it's all over. Really, we had this sort of influx of people really looking for help, right?
Right. Right. And I agree.
Right.
I think that if we welcomed people with a different
Hmm.
mindset of,
Right.
you know, we're
Right.
here to help, I think, I don't know. It's just because of the push factors. Nobody wants to pick up their kids and take a 5,000-mile journey across a desert unless there's something that's,
Yeah, imagine
pushing
that,
them.
right? I mean, would
Yeah,
you do it? Would you
exactly.
send your child to do that? No way. I
Right,
mean, there's
right.
just no way we would do that.
No, and that's
Yeah.
why we take it for granted. Like you're saying, we're not
Hmm.
worried about, walking out of our homes and going to the store, getting mugged, getting murdered, getting kidnapped, or whatever. And that's something that we take for granted, but is really most people
Hmm.
look at that, especially those who are suffering under that. And I know that your personal experience and your personal growth has helped you to really dedicate your life to helping these people who are less privileged and trying to help them get the American dream. How has your personal traumas informed
Right.
your work today?
Correct. So the book kind of centers. It's a little bit of, hey, it's kind of the process that I grew uh, to become a millionaire, to open several law firms, to just kind of, also there's one law firm with several offices,
Mm-hmm.
and so uh, what what it was is, I graduated high school, I graduated in college, then I graduated in law school, um, and I'm working I'm applying myself. I'm studying. I'm doing what I can. There is 168 hours in a week.
Hmm.
I was working 160. I'm telling you, it was
Yeah.
not a lack of effort. And
Right.
so I was trying and trying and trying, and for 5 years, um, I, I just couldn't understand. I would just it got to the point where I just didn't understand why I wasn't making it. I was under crushing debt. I was under
Mm.
crushing student loan debt. My wife is also a lawyer. I met her to the process. I explained this process in the book, but our payments, her payment, um, were just absolutely outrageous. They were
Mm.
just like we just couldn't make it. We're paying crazy amounts,
Right.
and so everything was going there, and we just didn't know. And so we deferred, and what then started happening is that I started detecting that I was very much feeling like a victim. I was really like, why did they do this to me? I thought if I was a professional or I was a lawyer, things should be easier. Why am I even struggling to pay the student loans? Right
Mm.
now, remember, I had a really hard time getting into law school, so it was kind of a hard pill to swallow because it was like, yeah, but you wanted this, right? You really wanted it. You fought us to get here, and now you're complaining, right? And so I was like, but why? And so about of the 5 year mark, I just sort of like started to kind of throw the towel and be like, look, I don't know. I probably should be like teaching Spanish. I would have probably brought more money
Hmm.
if I was at a high school teaching Spanish than I would be being a lawyer, right? In my own law firm.
Hmm.
And so um, I struggled. And then I found, finally said, Casey says, hey, listen, I met this guy. He is a law practice management advisor. I think we should like check it out. And I was kind of like, look, I've kind of tried everything. If this guy wants to tell me, sure, I'll listen. But really, so it was kind of egotistical. And so I go through the process. I join this program, and then through these, there's a lot of discovery. And one of the things was like, well, um, I was very inexpensive. I was the cheapest in town. I was doing like bankruptcies for like $400 and $500, the whole thing, going to them
Wow.
to representation court, the whole thing.
Oh my God.
And so he kept saying, "But why don't you need to raise your pricing?" I was doing a flat fee, right? That wasn't the hourly fee. That was like what I would do the full
Yeah.
thing. And I was very resistant of this. I was very resistant, like super resistant. Nope, 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 not gonna do it, not gonna do it. I felt bad for the individuals I was helping. I was helping consumers who were also in crushing debt. Um, and to this process, I started discovering my true calling, which was not being a bankruptcy lawyer, but being a immigration lawyer.
Right.
And I explained this process in the book, but I really just kind of start working. And then what comes out of this is that it all centered on self-esteem. It all
Mm.
centered on I wasn't valuing my work. I just didn't see it as valuable. And but why was that, right? And so they keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and through this program, it just finally came out. I was like, well, they were like, but there's got to be something. I mean, everybody, look, people resist raising pricing all the time. They have a lot of issues, but you really have a problem with this. And so I went and I said, look, after like an hour, it felt like a deposition. Like, what is it? There's something here. You gotta tell me. So finally, just sort of ordered it out, right? I'm like, uh, I was sexually abused as a kid. Is that it?
Mm.
And so he goes, there you go. Have you ever talked to anybody of this? And so it was like, well, no, I've never have because I don't need to. Like, this is not a
Right.
problem. Like,
Yeah.
it happened, and so the way and when this happened came about, my parents were told me like this happened back in Colombia. Were like, listen, don't ever mention it to anybody, and don't let this define you, and just sort of keep moving forward.
Right.
And truly, that's what I did, right? I was kind of like, okay, and that's what I did. And so it kind of hurt me in two ways. And first way is actually the event of what happened. A male to male type of thing. It's just not a very, especially for the Latino and a little bit
Right.
more Hispanic culture, that's not something that we talk about it openly. And two, um, the fact that I didn't see a reaction from my parents, right? It's like the people who are here to protect you didn't protect you. At least that was my perception up to the time. And through this, I realized, well, they eliminated the threat. They removed the person. They actually did it pretty quietly and cleanly, right?
Mm.
And I never seen it like from that perspective, right? I was more like, but I never got a doctor exam, a police report,
Oh
nobody,
wow.
nothing. It was like, shh,
Mm-hmm.
quiet, and this don't
Right.
happen. So what created was I had a lot of trust issues, right? So, for example, it was really hard for me to delegate anything, right? Just delegation. And so, if anybody has delegation issues, you gotta start thinking, where is that coming from? Because,
Hmm.
like, lawyers, for example, we people open our mail all the time because you get so many things from the court. You need to have a clerk or a legal assistant, a paralegal, whatever you call it. You have people sort your mail. But when it comes to when it comes to email,
Mm-hmm.
no, you can't touch it. Isn't that the same thing? But somehow we just we have such a hard time. And you have to be a lawyer to have this. We have a hard time with things like that. Like, why can I not have somebody assist me
Hmm.
on this inbox? Right? We attach so much. But I was like that. If somebody would come and fix the Wi-Fi of the router of my office, I would be watching, right? I would be looking to see that they didn't change the password or they do.
Right.
And so what happens is I when I tell you I was working 160 hours out of 168, I was working, yes, but I wasn't working as a lawyer. I was the printer guy. I was the IT guy. I was
Mm-hmm.
the blogger guy. I was the website guy. I was the check the email guy. I would come early to build the clients, so I would be the one leaking the envelopes and putting the stamps
Wow.
so it would go to the client. So um, although I did have a little bit of staff, I have one and two staff members at the time. There was just too much work for all of us, and really the stuff I had, I didn't really actually let them do a whole lot because I was always kind of putting my fingers on everything, right?
Right.
And so through this process, these individuals did great. They opened my eyes, but they said, "Look, we are not psychologists. We're not, you gotta go talk about this stuff." And
Mm.
so, look, I was so time out of this. I was like, fine, whatever, I'll do it. My attitude wasn't the best. I'm like, I already told you this is not a problem, but all right, if you say so. That was kind of my attitude. And so I go, and really, even the therapy sessions with psychologists were not even that transforming. They really weren't. They were just me telling the story and letting some of these feelings out. And I'm telling you, it's just like boom, just things start growing. I start trusting more. I start moving more. I start raising my prices. I'm at 300 employees right now with 7 offices in different countries, and so it exploded, right? It just completely exploded. And so
Wow.
personal growth precedes business growth. You
Right.
just you just can't have that. And through that too, this message about keeping quiet
Hmm.
was very this thematic of just something happened, you just don't say anything, right?
Right.
um I
Mm.
learned that. Oh,
Mm.
and so now working with humanitarian cases, what I'm learning is a lot of these individuals bring trauma and they don't even want to talk about it. They don't even in the view visa context that I just told you, that people are a victim of a crime, they especially immigrants, they don't even want to call the police because they're afraid
Yes, of
they might be
course.
deported. Like, if I call the police, something
Mm-hmm.
happened to me, the police will come, ask for my documents, and I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
these communities tolerate a lot of abuse, right? Crimes even, and don't say anything. And so I felt that in life life had put me in this position to say, you have to say this. And for a while I was like, well, somebody else will do it. I just want to be a lawyer. But then with time I realized, well, is somebody else doing it? Like, I really just have to come out and say, hey, this happened, and I'm okay sharing with you guys. And that's not going to define me. But I learn a lot from this that maybe I can share with you all, and you can do that. And this not only applies to immigrants; it applies to all of your audience as well. It's like if
Right.
and what I'm learning as I go, it doesn't have to be quite so overt. It doesn't have to be like you were sexual abuse. I'm learning that there's individuals who who grew up and they were pretty lonely. They were. It's almost like they were emotionally abandoned, right? Like they had their parents around, they had roof over their heads, they had food, they had water, but they were never really that cared for. And that creates all sorts of trust issues.
Right.
That creates all sorts of and so I think it's important we do look at those things and what is
Yeah.
driving those behaviors. And I think we would all be in a better world
Yeah.
if we have that.
I agree. I mean, you have to bring your whole human experience because
Right.
we bring that to the table, whether we're conscious of it or not, like you're saying.
That's correct.
And I think it's great that you talk about it because you help other people and you make a safe
Right.
space for
Right.
that kind of interaction to
That's
occur.
correct.
And I'm sure that's why, I mean, it's just amazing. Your success followed your own personal growth, and
Right.
yeah, I just think it's beautiful, really, and I thank you for doing
Mm.
that, and it does make a difference, and because you say also that some of your book highlights your commitment to giving back to the community, because you
Right.
could have been any kind of lawyer, you didn't have to do this, right?
That's right.
But
So,
right.
but you get to a point where it's like, why? I know not I talk from, there's victim and there's victimhood. I was a victim, no question, of sexual abuse. But you got to get out of the hood. Victimhood, you got to get out of the hood, man. You can't just keep there, right? And this process is more difficult. And it took me years. Like I said, I didn't even know, right? It was
Right.
like, so, but once you start peeling off, then you come from a position of really be able to teach and learn from it, not to stay on the victimhood, to be able
Mm-hmm.
to add to what. And one of the things that I realized is that, giving and receiving is the same muscle. Like if you put your hand out and you open your hand, is the same muscle to open and
Right.
to give. You have to open. To receive, you have to open. And so when we tight fist, if you want to receive, you have to give. It's the same muscle. So you have to train both. And I heard this from a master class at some point, and she said something really important. She says you gotta make your mess your message.
Hmm.
Mess is in message. Right?
Yes.
You cannot have a message unless you have a mess.
Right.
And I thought, well, I have a mess.
It's
I have a mess. I wanna share it. And I tell you, it's been beautiful. It's been profitable. It's been it's
right.
been it's been it's been really a good ride. Obviously, I have issues like anybody. I have staffing
Mm-hmm.
issues, marketing issues,
Right.
sales issues. I have all of the issues that a business owner still has, but I feel like I'm much more emotionally and uh, uh, more mature from a business perspective to be able to handle them, and that's just made me grow a lot. So that's why
Right.
I want to share with everybody, and I share more the details of the story on prove them wrong.
Right. And the people that come to see you, how do they get in touch with you in general? Are these,
But
I'm sure there's a
yeah,
variety of cases.
so yeah, so I am at QuirogaLawOffice.com. That's QUIROGA lawoffice.com. And I'm in social media and Abogado Quiroga. That's kind of like that. So Abogado is the word for attorney. So lawyer Quiroga or attorney
Mm-hmm.
Quiroga. In Twitter, I mean, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, all the social media outlets, and that's where they can find us. And also with a little bit of initiative with Hector the Protector. So I'm
Oh,
HectorTheProtector.com. People
nice.
can
I
find me
like
there.
that.
That's a little bit more of it's more about this than it is about law, right? So,
Right.
but for the immigrants listening, or somebody who you can talk to, the law firm is where I spend most
Mm-hmm.
of my time. So yes.
Right. If you could change the immigration policies of the United
Hmm.
States to your dream, What do you think they would look like?
I think we do need some sort of I don't want to call it all a merit base because some of the proposals that we had in the past were just out there. I mean, if you were a gold medalist at the Olympics, you still wouldn't qualify. That's kind
Right.
of the standard. And so then you got two or three people, right? That's not
Right.
workable.
Yeah.
But I think some sort of merit in the sense of, look, you are paying taxes, you're contributing, you have no criminal issues, you are, you know, why not? This is hardworking individuals who are contributing. Why not? Maybe you put some educational requirements. We can do that. Right now, it's really based on kind of the things that I mentioned. You got immigration that is family based. So you have to have family, and there's people who do silly things like I'm gonna get married. So it's like, oh,
Yes. Yes.
it's just why do we put these individuals in this position? That's just not helpful for the country, right? And then you have like employment based, but like there are caps that right now the caps for this year is tied up, and we're not even
Oh wow.
90 days, 120 days in. Yeah, that's it. There's no
Oh
more.
wow. Wow.
And there's just thousands of applications coming in, and employers here need employees. This is why they're doing, and we can. You just, it doesn't leave us. You got the humanitarian cases I'm talking about, and which include like core defenses. That's kind of it. Like aside that, that's what we have today. We definitely need a merit system where it's not a family or employer. Like, look, I can come to contribute, I can contribute to do, but it's a little bit wider. I know that there are other options, like there's some investment visas and there's some kind of,
Right.
but then that requires a lot of resources. It's just going to have to invest, right? So that's I think what it would be. I do believe very much into, look, I'm coming into your house. I'm a United States citizen, but I came into the United States. I wanted, I'm a man of laws. I'm a lawyer because I like the law.
Right.
I believe that if I'm coming into your house, I should be respectful of your
Mm-hmm.
rules.
Mm.
Just like if you
Mm.
come into mine, you should be
Right.
respectful of mine. So I
Yeah.
do believe, and with my clients and everybody else, I say, look, guys, we gotta be in the very best behavior, because if we're not, this is it.
That's
I think that that immigration thing should have that as a piece of this, right?
oh, definitely. Well,
Yeah.
as I'm sure you know, of course, the immigrant population commits crimes at half the rate. I think it's probably less than American citizens do. So, because it
Hmm.
makes sense. If someone's coming here
Yeah.
to be a citizen, they're not going to want to commit crimes. They don't want to, like you're saying, they don't
Right.
want to get on the
Well,
radar.
and
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's a lot of the debate, right, between
Yeah.
the left and the right. It's like, we wanna, who doesn't want a safe home? We all want a
Right.
safe home. We all
Exactly.
want a secure. We
It's.
all want, we all
Mm-hmm.
want some sort of vetting. I think I don't believe that, even as a liberal somebody might be, that they can say no, we shouldn't vet anyone. No, that's
Mm-hmm.
not what
No.
they're saying. We need
No.
vetting. We understand that. We're also saying, look, you gotta follow certain rules. You come to my house, please be respectful. And I think that's where the other side gets to, right? It's like, well, and it's like, no. So we have to kind of talk on
Mm-hmm.
common sense, and we seem to be so polarized in the media, at least. But
Yeah.
when you really look at it, I think we're a lot closer than we think. It just, the one side is gonna find several
Right.
examples to show that immigrants are bad, but really, overall, it's really not.
I know.
A very
Right.
small percentage. There will always be somebody who
Yeah. It's
does
always going to
something.
be somebody
Yeah,
that's.
yeah.
Exactly.
So those are the points out there, right? But I think we need something. I think that is going to happen because as I mentioned, is collapsing. There's just not. I mean, cases are taking 5 years
Oh,
to
I know.
move
I
ahead.
know.
3 to 5 years. We had to sue in federal court to get the agency to move ahead,
Oh,
and
God.
the Supreme Court is hearing a lot more cases about immigrations that they have ever heard.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think, and it is in the consciousness now of the country, and I think that in that sense has been good. I think that this immigration talk is now a political agenda. It is very important to Americans to know. It doesn't matter if they want everybody deported or if they want everybody to,
Hmm.
get asylum. The point is in the consciousness of the country, and I think that's good. It hopefully pushes some good reform that makes a little bit more sense of than what we have right now.
Right. Especially to have cases languishing for 5 years is just not, it's not sustainable. Of course, there's going to be a backlog. And I think, what did you think about the immigration bill that the conservatives and Joe Biden were trying to pass before Trump stepped in and quashed it?
Right. Well, I had concerns with it. So a lot of that bill focused on enforcement. So judges, agents, and detaining individuals, and then maybe feeling or giving a budget to detention facilities of some sort, right? And although that's very needed, we need judges. They are, man, they are overwhelmed. We definitely need judges. We need more
Right.
agents. But that was kind of the end of this, and that's kind of short-sighted because
Yep.
what about all the lawful immigrants that are
Yeah.
waiting for visas that didn't address any of them? They didn't, right? And it's kind of more of the same. Cash more individuals, house more
Right.
individuals, send more individuals back. I think we need more. Now, the one thing I did like is that it is putting a budgetary piece to it. So immigration, most of immigration today is paid by the immigration fees immigrants pay. So when you apply, you have to pay that fee. That's where it is. Now, I think what we have today is a lawful Ponzi scheme, if you will. A Ponzi scheme is when you take money from a new investor to pay an old investor. Well, it's kind of the same. We're having immigrants today are paying with those fees for cases that they have not adjudicated for 5 years.
Wow.
And so this is what we have. So now there's not enough money. They consume the money to adjudicate all those cases, investigate all those cases, do that.
Wow.
And so it's very logical to me that the problem will continue to get worse until it just
Yeah.
pops, right?
Right.
And the only way is we need more resources to do that. And so that's why I like that bill. At least it's saying, hey, they're gonna need money. They're gonna
Right.
need resources to do this.
It's doing
That's what I
something, but
like. Yeah. And in the one hand, I'm like, didn't like how it came out, right? And it was definitely a blaming of,
right.
Donald Trump stepped in and he called. We saw that on
Yeah.
State of the Union address. Um, and whether or not that's the way it was, but I'm concerned as an immigration lawyer that is going to happen. What happened with President Obama? So when President Obama was finishing, he had to spend a lot of his political power and persuasion and the people supporting him in Obamacare.
Right.
Obamacare took a lot of that. And then when he came to immigration agenda, he couldn't really get it passed through. And so the best he could do was DACA. And he just did an executive action and
Right.
he created DACA, which is being, to this day, we're still fighting on the courts. We're very thankful that we had something, right, for kids that, are following the rules and are going to school and they're doing this, that they were childhood arrivals. We're thankful. But it was just really a crutch at its best, last minute Hail Mary type of thing that happened. And it feels a little bit of what's happening now. There is a hey, I didn't advance immigration, right? In fact, he's being criticized for backtracking a lot of stuff. I mean, he's trying to fund the wall. He
Right.
in certain sections, he's definitely have done some things that we go, wait, that's not. He wanted emergency powers to be able to shut down the
Right.
border when he told us
Right.
that shouldn't happen. So there's some things that we can go, but I think he's trying, right? He's trying. There's no question. The other side won't even try. I mean,
Yeah.
the
That's
other
the
side won't even
thing.
try. So we had this. So it was kind of. I felt like it was a Hail Mary. I'm like, would have been good, but again, it's
Right.
enforcement. I
Right.
think we need more individuals that we know, so we can bring individuals who can really bring those ideas and that investment and those new things that immigration is so good about to
Mm-hmm.
fuel our country. So
Right,
that's
right.
that's just Hector's view of the world, right?
Well,
Yes.
yeah, I just think, like you're saying, the Republicans just don't really want to do anything. That's what it looks like to me. They
Yeah.
want the chaos. They want to politicize it. They want to go down to the border and
Mm,
point and take pictures, and just drum up all this anti-immigrant sentiment
right.
when this is a nation of immigrants. It's just, to me, it's unfathomable. Most of the
Right.
people who are, complaining are children of immigrants. Not to, my grandparents came here, both
Right.
sides from another
Right.
country,
Right.
and yeah,
It's crazy.
so
We don't have to look too far on people's
exactly.
genealogical tree to find
Mm-hmm.
somebody who
It's
came. And
true.
that's a
It's true. It's
very
just,
true.
so. What do you think is next for this situation and your law
Mm.
firm?
Uh, well,
Big
so
question.
from the perspective of the country, I think that yeah, election time is going to be
Right.
very interesting. What's going to happen? I mean, um, I think that well that we have to watch because we know it could be happen once, it can happen again. So I think that definitely.
Yes. Oh
I
God.
I, th- I think
Again.
I think President Trump was uh, underestimated a lot until it was kind of too late. I think once
Yeah.
we, I mean, I remember back from those days, talk shows and interviews, and he was funny and he was a joke, and
Right.
it's like, oh yeah, it'll be great, yeah,
Mm.
billionaires are gonna run, ha 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 ha. The guy from The Apprentice, remember that? That was kind of
Oh
it, and
God.
then he gets the Republican nomination, and then he goes on to the election, and so I don't think we should make that mistake again. I don't
Right.
think that
Oh
I
God.
think that we know that at least from a perspective he's very aggressive in immigration agendas, and we need to
Mm-hmm.
watch it. But he has a real chance because he's shown that he
Right.
can be underestimated and come ahead.
I.
And so there
Oh
is that.
God.
Now, of course, he has a lot of issues right now, like in courts and a lot of stuff that we don't know how that is going to end up. But either way, I think that we just have to watch. Like I told you, whatever happens from perspective of the firm,
Right.
um,
Yeah. You
I'm
just
just gonna
roll
have
with
to
it.
adapt. I'm just gonna have to adapt, right? What
You're
is this
right.
coming, and we'll just adapt quickly, and we'll just best response of what is presented.
Wow.
But it's
Yeah.
interesting.
I
Yeah.
hope, yeah, that's the thing. We're all kind of holding our breath until November. Well, doing
Hmm.
all that we can, and
Hmm.
hoping that we don't have to relive that 2016 election night where
Hmm.
I just couldn't believe it myself that there were.
Hmm.
That's really what was so depressing, that there were so many racists in the country. That's what really
Right.
struck me.
Right. Right.
How
Right.
could
Right.
people fall for
Right.
this? But yeah, we're
Hmm.
still overcoming it. And I think, it's when I get optimistic, I think, well, we needed something like that
Hmm.
to really show us, what we value. We
Right.
value
Right.
democracy. We
Right.
value
Hmm.
our, nation of
Hmm.
immigrants, and we need to fight for that. But
Right.
thank you, Hector. One last question: what made you write this book?
So by message, right? And I think I needed to really be like, gosh, after I keep hearing a story after a story, once you get in a consultation with someone, they're telling you their story, and if you start listening, the stories are there, and then in hundreds, not to say thousands, probably thousands of stories, there was a symptomatic of just not speaking out, not telling the story. As a lawyer, I had to get it out, and these individuals at least kind of knew that there was some sort of benefit, immigration benefits of some kind, so they would actually say, but what are the people who don't know? And then I realized what I was not even immigrants, right? Like we really all need to be sharing or what's happened to us and what we learn from it. So that's what I said. Look, this is so prevalent in my life. I think I need to share it and speak it. So that's the reason.
That's great. Is there another book you think in the future, or we're just
Maybe,
taking it a
probably,
day at a
yeah.
time? Yeah.
I'm in this trip called life and see what happens
Yeah,
next.
we'll
Yes.
see. We'll see. And because you also have a podcast too, right?
I have a podcast, and so we're doing it in Spanish. We want to launch it in English as well in the future. But yeah, my podcast is a lot about immigrant stories of how they deal with adversity and the things that affect us day to day that we can pay attention to and maybe just be better.
Right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, and I really am inspired by you. And if that's the result of your book or the reaction you were looking
Yeah,
for,
yeah.
you definitely got it from me, and I
That is very,
appreciate
very
that.
nice. You're
And
very
your
sweet, Tara.
courage,
Thank you.
yeah, because you're not just talking about business, you're talking about your life and as a whole human being, the entire experience, the good, the bad, the
Mhm.
struggles,
Right.
the personal struggles, and that's what really does inspire people. So thank you so much, Hector, for coming
Thank
on the
you.
show.
All
And good
right.
luck with the book.
You go prove them wrong. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you got it. You got
All
it.
right.
I'll talk to
All
you.
right.
Bye bye now.
Bye bye. Bye bye.